Right. The other thing is that vendor is not bound to transfer unless it means that the vendors affecting the memorandum of transfer and charge is actually before the payment, which is issue of vendor actually sold or change the ownership of the property to the purchaser by the time he has done so. Only then the bank is going to take it and release the money. So it is a milestone before the release of money payment to the vendor. No? So whereby this is before receiving the payment. The owner actually is no more the owner anymore. That means the seller is no more the owner anymore of the property on land office record. So on that, well, the purchaser's lawyer is bound to the job Of course, if it really triggers the no payment, then the vendor's lawyer would say that, well, there is no payment means there is no vacant possession, no physical possession. I hold the key, you cannot get into the house. I can still say that it is my house. It's still the owner's house. But of course, in name, in the legal name ownership already, it is changed to the purchaser already. So how if there is a failure to get financing at this time, even after memorandum of transfer and memorandum of charge, therefore there is usually a clause that says, well, the owner seller would have right to make a specific performance to go to court and ask for specific performance. No matter what, you cannot get the loan, you must pay me in other means, whatever the court would execute the decision. Because there is no turning point, no turning back already, because the sales and purchase agreement in fact carried out an unconditional and up to the point of the legal ownership being changed to the purchaser. Or else go back to clause 12 usually in Sarawak it will be the clause 12, which is like this. I want to highlight the upper extract, which is provided further that if the purchaser shall for any reason be unable to obtain approval of the said loan or to obtain the release of the said loan after its approval, the purchaser shall nevertheless pay the balance of the purchase price within such completion period, failing which the vendor shall be entitled to exercise the vendor's right under clause 12. So this 12 says what? Forfeit the deposit as a liquidated damage. Purchaser shall withdraw private caveat if there's any caveat if any of this has been lodged by the purchaser's lawyer, then they have to withdraw this private caveat, and vendor to refund all the money paid by the purchaser, because vendor wants to extra ones. That means vendor who is forfeit the deposit and yet there are still other money paid, then actually has to refund the purchaser. So of course it depends on who prepares the sales and purchase agreement. If the owner doesn't have a lawyer to prepare for him, he take all the words from the purchaser's lawyer, then the purchaser's lawyer will word it this way, vendor to refund all money. If I don't want to purchase, you have to refund me. Agreement shall thereafter become null and void, and vendor retain right to seek for specific performance. Some of the sales and purchase agreement which is more siding the vendor actually is forfeit the deposit and vendor retain rights to seek for specific performance. Okay, so these are the two that I have extracted from sales and purchase agreement in Kuching. In the event that the purchaser fails or neglects to pay the balance sum in accordance with the provisions herein, the vendor may take action to require the purchaser to complete or without in any way affecting any right which the vendor may have to terminate the sales herein, whereupon the vendor shall be entitled to forfeit. Here's forfeit as a liquidated damage. The vendor shall thereafter forthwith refund all other money. Of course, this one is other than the vendor forfeit. It has still other money paid by the purchaser, and the end financier free of interest, and upon such refund, this agreement shall thereafter null and void. In the event that the purchaser shall be in a breach of any of the provision herein contained or fail, refuse, be unwilling or unable to complete the purchase, then says that the vendor shall entitled to forfeit all payment made by the purchaser under this agreement as agreed liquidated damage, and the purchaser shall forthwith withdraw his private caveat lodged here under at his own expense. Upon such forfeiture being effected, this agreement shall become null and void, provided always that it is without prejudice to the vendor's right to seek for specific performance of this agreement in court. So this is in Kuching. So in KL, West Malaysia, it also says that the same tune in the sense hereby agree between vendor and purchaser that deposit paid by the purchaser shall be forfeited to the vendor by the way agreed liquidated damage, and thereafter vendor shall refund all other money to the vendor, and 14 days of interest if it's within 14 days free of interest. If it exceed 14 days, you need to pay back with the interest rate charge, and then until the date of actual refund, whereupon this agreement shall upon the said refund be terminated and rendered null and void, and therefore both parties continue their own path Right. What is an exit clause? Is like in this case clause 12 for the two just now I have extracted for Sarawak. It provide an exit, meaning to say both sides say, well, I have breached the contract, so what happened? You forfeit, then I will just take whatever leftover money, I will do other things with my remaining money So vendor can carry on, of course, to sell to another party to next buyer. Purchaser minimize his losses and revert back to the original ownership. So the ownership back to the original owner, who's the seller. So now we talk about determination of vacant possession. Why is it important? Physical and legal ownership. When to take vacant possession? It is a completion of the payment. Complete payment is a completion time, whereupon all risks to be said property shall pass to the purchaser. So it is also mentioned in sales and purchase agreement. If there is no payment, like in the case of some people wanting to move in to get married, so even though the money is not paid from the bank to the owner, the purchaser wants to use the house for a certain purpose, like getting married. So in such a reason, they will usually word it in another document by the lawyer saying that the vendor allowed the purchaser to use the property but that is dangerous in the case that anything happen, the ownership and the sales and purchase not yet completed. Although by right the sales and purchase agreement signed unconditional contract means that the purchaser already has bought the property but other risks like insurance risk, situation of having a party, and then later on fire broke out and the whole house being burned. So in such a, then the purchaser say, no, I have not paid you, so I don't want to pay you anymore. So the owner suddenly come in the situation that his house got burned, and yet is at his disadvantage because the money not yet paid to him. So by this scenario, you can understand the point of contention, the point of the legal ownership as well as the physical ownership is important in this argument of when is the vacant possession. So usually it's complete payment. So let us talk about this property damage act of God, like just now the fire or it's man-made somebody go there and have party and later on the whole place burn down, or somebody go and repair things, do renovation, and somebody involved in an accident and died in the house. So whose responsibility is that? So when is the debt to be responsible by vendor? Actually, the correct way is by vacant possession. The vendor still has the risk until vacant possession. So after vacant possession, hand over everything to the purchaser, then only the risk all pass over to the purchaser. So refund everything to purchaser if fire broke out, destroy the property. So therefore, the vacant possession time is very important. So in this case, the purchaser said it's not about he having party inside the house. It was nothing to do with him. He did not take over the house, and yet the vacant possession not happen. Before the vacant possession, whatever house problem is still your problem. So you have to refund me everything because I want to buy a house that I can live in. Now the house is burned down, so it's not my responsibility as I did not take the keys. Similarly, in the case of situation in land acquisition, Section 47 and Section 48 of the Sarawak Land Court, in West Malaysia is the Land Acquisition Act. So this part is, if let's say the land is acquired by government, so there is a chance that the situation like fire broke out. So this case, this happened, land acquisition, and therefore purchaser actually no more, he cannot get the house anymore because the land is acquired by government. So in this scenario, there can be two way out. One is the vendor refund everything to the purchaser, and then saying that, well, I cannot sell you the house because government took over the land. So nothing wrong with it as government take over, I just can't sell anymore. So you take back whatever money that you have paid. Situation is by law. But on the other hand, if the vendor say, well, continue take over I already sold it to you, and now the government going to compensate a hefty sum, a good sum of compensation. It's okay you take over so you get the house, purchaser take over and get compensated by a land acquisition. So of course at the end, the land acquisition can be a handsome sum also in this scenario. So let's say we use these two bar of activity time to explain about freehold and the leasehold. So let us see freehold first. Freehold is a 0 day when there is already a 3% booking put by the purchaser. Then it usually takes 14 days or sometimes 21 days to get the loan approval offer letter from the bank. Then proceed to signing the sales and purchase agreement, which is a down payment of another 7%. So here is 10%. So now from the 14 day, there is a 0 day start from the conveyancing side to until the 3 months, which is 90 days. So if let's say the 3 months period, the loan approved and therefore proceed to hand over. So the vacant possession happen, complete payment. But there is late payment, then it goes into the 120 days. The late payment, there could be late payment interest charge. Later we will see a calculation on this. Now let's say it is a leasehold property, need approval from the state authority. Then 3% paid. There is a 14 day or 21 days. Proceed to sales and purchase agreement. Pay another 7% down payment. All in a 10% down payment paid. But then this process of consent being asked from the state government will take some time. This one can be at times 3 months, or even if it is longer, can be a messy issue. So if there is no consent, then the whole thing revert back to 0 So if there is consent, the date of consent start on the day 0 for the process of the loan approval. Because the no consent, no need loan approval because loan approval be actually pre-arranged already. That means they are ready already. The bank is already ready with the money. It's just when you are able to give me the consent and therefore need to transfer MOT as well as the memorandum of charge, then only the bank can release the money. So in this yellow arrow side, the bank release the money and therefore make full complete payment and therefore hand over vacant possession. So there is any delay, that means again payment of interest. So this is a easy way to understand the process of the sales and purchase agreement. So sales and purchase agreement actually start talking about it the moment it's signed until the whole full completion, including also any chances that any reason that there is a delay or there is any other risk that is not covered in the process here. So including land, including got fire, act of God. Right, the late payment calculation. So if there is 90% loan for 500,000 house, then it becomes 450,000 loan. Then if it is 8% of interest charge per annum, then you times the 365 and the number of days. So if it is beyond 90 days and extra or 25 days, then this calculation is about 2,465 ringgit. Okay. What are the other points that I think SPA I want to mention in this video recording is basically about taxes. What are the remaining taxes that the vendor need to clear? What are the possible RPGT that the vendor need to pay, and the RPGT usually will touch on the Section 21B whereby purchaser lawyer will retain 3% from the purchaser's payment. Usually the loan payment, the loan disbursement, they will retain the total sale price of 3%, and then to make sure it is paid to Director General of Inland Revenue. So here RPGT part, if the vendor lawyer already lodged a CKHT 3, that means to get an exemption. The vendor lawyer can lodge a CKHT form to claim for exemption. So this CKHT form, I have done one video earlier on. So this part, there is an exemption if it is like for residential home, or lifetime exemption, election to exempt from RPGT, then the vendor's lawyer, having got this approved, will send it to the purchaser lawyer. So the purchaser lawyer will not retain this 3%. Similarly, on other taxes like stamp duty, on the memorandum of transfer, then the purchaser to pay by law. Stamp duty on MOT part is tricky a bit lah. Some places in Sarawak they will actually share out between purchaser and seller, but then in law it should be purchaser paying for stamp duty lah. Then the other types of stamp duty, which is for adjudication, and also the legal fees, that is the lawyer putting there to be able to claim lah from the purchaser or from the seller lah. So these are the other things that is found inside the sales and purchase agreement. Some of it involve also quit rent. That means they actually list it down as the vendor need to have a clear I mean no encumbrances on the quit rent. If it is still subject to quit rent in Sarawak, for residential housing, there's no more quit rent already for many years. Assessment bill with the council, if there is a still outstanding assessment bill, then need to be paid. Electricity and water meter. Okay, let us have a conclusion. So this particular video recording is about sales and purchase agreement, what is in a sales and purchase agreement. So follow up on my earlier video on process of the letter of engagement from appointing an agent, and then the letter of offer and acceptance for the agent to have two parties come together to negotiation, and then eventually proceed to sales and purchase. So this pre-sales and purchase is by the agent, and then the sales and purchase by the lawyer mainly. So what are the areas that overlaps repeated from the letter of offer as well as in the initial type letter of engagement? They are of course repeated to have consistency and it also mentioned about terms of payment, bank loan, everything, and completion debt. Completion debt here is the debt of everything. That means completed, money all paid, then take the key, vacant possession. If there is a leasehold property, then you need consent, the machinery of consent, how to execute the consent. If there are finances, that is required, when to start doing the finances, and until when the memorandum of charge to be provided, so that the bank can release the loan by the lawyer that does the bank loan. Then there is any reason that the fallout happens, exceed, there is in this example I gave for Sarawak side, clause 12, act of God and land acquisition happen. So the main part is the vacant possession debt. So if anything after vacant possession, it is the purchaser. Anything before the vacant possession is still the owner. Timeline in the conveyancing part, I have given a diagram which illustrates the freehold versus the leasehold in terms of the timeline. So if there is any late payment, there is a calculation. I have also showed you on the calculation of the late payment. So meters and council bills. Thank you very much. I'm excited to show you my work in the design of platform. I have a e-learning system for the exam, which is a Diploma in Estate Agency exam, which will allow you to become a probationary agent as well as eventually qualify as a registered estate agent. Then there are also other two platforms that I have designed, advertising platform. One is Contract to You. Another one is FindHui.info. Contract to You is a comparative index comparison of property, and then the FindHui.info is a geo-linking of businesses among a community of agents. I have my own video collection website which is under My Real Property Online. Thank you very much. I'm Thomas Sim, PA2066. This is my mobile number and the few websites that I organize. Thank you for visiting my channel.